Even in its earliest days, punk as we now know it seemed to develop a certain set of rules. Loud and fast are obvious ones, but other examples include foregoing solos and clever chord changes. The Damned's Machine Gun Etiquette is the sound of a band who decided to keep all of the energy that made punk exciting and combine it with a bizarre mixture of psychedelic, gothic, prog rock, science fiction, and Tin Pan Alley music. It's credited with helping to inspire hardcore punk, dark wave, and many other genres and artists who also wanted to use punk as a starting point for something deeper and more interesting. But the reason I really want to talk about this album is just, it's a lot of fun. Released in 1979, Machine Gun Etiquette is arguably the most musically adventurous punk album of its era, capturing the exact moment when punk started mutating into something stranger, smarter, and more enduring. It might even be the apex of punk's first wave, not because it stuck to a formula, but because it wasn't afraid to break the rules. The Damned released this album the same year Pink Floyd released The Wall, Michael Jackson gave us Off the Wall, and Led Zeppelin said goodbye with In Through the Outdoor. In other words, Machine Gun Etiquette couldn't have been further from what ruled the charts. Even compared to other groundbreaking albums from that year like London Calling or Unknown Pleasures, The Damned were on their own weird, unshackled trajectory. Make no doubt about it, Machine Gun Etiquette is a raw punk record. It's fast, rough around the edges, but when you listen closer, you'll hear something deeper and far more eclectic. The album was recorded after the Damned had already broken up and reformed, and this wasn't a band resting on momentum. It was a reset, in many ways a rebirth, and it came out on Chiswick Records, one of the coolest, most forward-thinking indie labels of the time, and you can feel that spirit in the music. Captain Sensible, who played bass on the first two Damned albums, switched to guitar for Machine Gun Etiquette and became, in my opinion, possibly the most dynamic guitarist in all of punk history. He's not just playing power chords, he's riffing, bending, spiraling off into these wild melodic ideas that shouldn't work but somehow do. He even played bass on a few tracks too, and it's another reason that Machine Gun Etiquette is so amazing. The band still has access to that powerful low end that propelled their debut, Damn Damn Damn. You also have to appreciate the drumming of Scabies, another musician who had the chops to transcend punk, but the energy and mania that made the movement so important. Dave Vanian is a vastly underrated frontman. On Machine Gun Etiquette, he's emerging into an almost goth crooner like Danzig in the Misfit years. He has that strong lower range where he explores a lot of interesting melodies. But again, another theme of Machine Gun Etiquette, there's still the punk strength and fire to move the record forward. There are guest appearances from Joe Strummer, Paul Simonon, and Lemmy, though fair warning, Ballroom Blitz, where Lemmy played, wasn't on the original UK release. Still, the star power is undeniable. And the songs, absolutely packed with moments. Love Song is one of the most in-your-face openers on any punk album. No build-up, just go. I Just Can't Be Happy Today sounds like it dropped in from another planet. Menacing, joyous all at once with shades of psychedelia, prog, and early goth. Melody Lee starts with a beautiful cinematic intro before detonating into 2 minutes of pure punk chaos. Anti-Pope feels like Jimi Hendrix, the Stones, and a pissed-off punk band got crammed into the same rehearsal space. Plan 9, Channel 7 is a standout, a personal favorite of mine. The darkness of the verse, the hook of the bridge, the lift of that massive chorus. Dave Vanian shines here, and the lyrics are supposedly about the actress who played Vampira and her relationship with James Dean. Nothing sounds like this. Noise, Noise, Noise is everyone firing on all cylinders. Scabies on drums, Captain Sensible's guitar slashing through, Vanian going full theatrical. But it doesn't get any better than the finale, Smash It Up Parts 1 and 2. It's the stairway to heaven of punk. Written in the wake of T-Rex's Mark Bolan's death, Bolan was generous with the Damned, who had opened for Bolan on tour. The gorgeous, almost bittersweet instrumental part 1 gives way to pure release. It rails against hippie complacency and ends with one of the most euphoric, pissed off, brilliant explosions in punk rock. Many bands mellow out by album 3. The Damned doubled down and expanded their musical vocabulary. They didn't retreat, they didn't mature, they got weirder, bolder, better. If you've never heard Machine Gun Etiquette, fix that today. It's one of the most exciting, unpredictable, and fun punk albums ever made. It captures a band in transition, a genre in mutation, and a moment in time when the possibilities felt endless. It didn't sell millions of copies, it doesn't show up on many greatest albums lists, but for people who know, this album means something. So, if you've ever wondered what punk could sound like with no guardrails and no fear, this is it. Punk had already wiped the slate clean. Machine Gun Etiquette took the genre to some of its most interesting places, and it started a whole new chapter of the Damned's singular, unrivaled career. If you enjoyed this, like the video, tell me your thoughts on Machine Gun Etiquette, and subscribe to the channel or follow our podcast for more.